So the first thing we talked about in this section was solving multi-step equations, which was the main thing we talked about in this section. Now, all the rules we just learned from section 2.2 are still true. You're still trying to get the variable by itself by moving everything away from it, by doing the opposite. Those are all still true. The only difference now is you're going to have more than one thing to move. So let's take a look at number 21 right here. Again, I can draw my line, my brick wall down the equal sign to help me separate the two. And what we see is we have 8 minus 5w equals negative 37. So we have the w right here, and that's what we're trying to solve for. So now we have to move an 8 and a 5. We have to move both of these. So now, instead of just moving it, the question becomes, well, which one do we move first? So w is my variable. I got to move 8 and 5. So who gets to go first? Well, the technical way to do this is you do the opposite of the order of operations. But that can get a little bit confusing when you get to ones like 27. So what I like to say, and I think it's a little bit easier, is you move the number that's furthest away from the variable. So if 8 and 5 is what we have to move, well, clearly 8 is further away from w than 5 is. So we're going to move 8 first. So to move the 8, we look at the sign. So the 8 is positive. Now this minus that you see behind the 8, don't get confused by that. A lot of students will think the 8 is subtracting. But that subtraction sign, or that minus sign, goes with the 5, because whatever's in front of a number is the sign. Well, if you look in front of the 8, there's nothing there, which means the 8 is positive. So we're going to move it by subtracting, because that is the opposite. So you do it on both sides, and so we bring down what we didn't use, negative 5w equals, then you say negative 37 minus 8, which comes out to be negative 45. Now at this point, we got a one-step problem. You have negative 5 times w equals negative 45. So that negative 5 and that w are multiplying, so we're going to move it by dividing. So divide by 5 and you get w equals, and negative 45 divided by negative 5 would give you a positive 9. So there's your answer, w equals 9. All right, let's take a look at number 27. Again, you can draw the line down the equal side like a brick wall. And so we look on both sides. On the left side, we have c minus 5 being divided by 4. So we got to get the c by itself, so the 5 and the 4 both have to move. So which one goes first? Well, again, if you use the little rule that I like to use, you move the one that's furthest away first. So the 5 is on top with the c, and the 4 is on bottom. So think of it kind of like a house. If the 4 is down on the first floor, and the 5 and the c are together on the top floor, well, obviously the 5 is closer to the c. So we're going to move the 4 first. To say it another way, you can't do anything with the numerator of a fraction until you deal with the denominator. So we got to get rid of that 4. Well, the 4 is obviously dividing, so we're going to move it over by multiplying. Bring down what you didn't use, c minus 5 equals, and then you say 4 times 3, which is 12. So now you have a simple one-step equation. C minus 5 equals 12. Well, that 5 is subtracting, so we're going to move it by adding. So we're going to add 5 over, and we get c equals 17. So there is your final answer. So that's how you do solving multi-step equations. Next up, we'll talk about writing and then solving multi-step equations.